Hello there, you stunningly attractive person you. I'm Chris from TechSpert and I'm here with Huawei's fresh new P40 flagship phone. Now it might be the least premium of the new P40 family, but it still packs most of the same specs as its more expensive siblings at a more affordable price point, and it's more compact as well at just 6.1 inches. So for me, the Huawei P30 from last year was definitely one of the most underrated smartphones of the year, and I'm really hoping that the P40 can continue the trend and really impress at a price that won't completely cripple your savings. Or at least what's left of your savings in this glorious time in which we live. So let's get the Huawei P40 fully unboxed, take a full-on tour of the hardware, the software, everything you need to know. And for all the latest greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers! So there's the phone itself. Let's just stick that aside for now. Check out what you get in the box. Of course, got the porky-pin device to actually get your SIM in there. And pretty standard fare by the looks of it. You've got 2-pin adapter. Hopefully you get a 3-pin plug if you order it here in the UK. You've got your Type-C USB cable, and you've got a bundled pair of proper headphones as well. Of course, Type-C USB headphones, because you don't get a headphone jack on the Huawei P40. Sadly, there's no case bundled with this Huawei P40, but perhaps the final retail model will actually come with a case in there. It looks like there's certainly space for one, so I will check with Huawei's PRs and I'll update in the video description. So let's unwrap the Huawei P40 and check it out in all of its naked glory. So this right here is the blush gold model. As you can see there, it's got a matte metallic style finish, even though it's constructed from glass, so similar to the likes of the OnePlus 7T smartphones. Really good to see. I do love a good matte finish because, as you can see there, it doesn't pick up smudgy, greasy prints the way that a standard glass backing would. And in this matte finish, you can pick up the Huawei P40 in either this blush gold or a frost silver. So some quite nice, stunning finishes on there. You can also pick it up with the traditional shiny glass finish as well in either blue, black or white. If you want a glimpse of the shiny design, then go check out my P40 Pro unboxing, because that's the shiny blue version. Now first up, I'm already loving how compact the Huawei P40 is. At just 6.1 inches, just feels really nice and comfy to clutch. Definitely compared with the 6.5, 6.6 inch behemoths I've been rocking lately. Now Huawei flagship phones tend to be pretty damn sturdy. They tend not to pick up scratches and scrapes around the back end, so fingers crossed the Huawei P40 will be just as sturdy as its previous brethren. And around the front, you've actually got a pre-installed screen protector on here as well, so I'll just add an extra layer of protection on there, help keep your P40 in tip-top condition. And sadly, the Huawei P40 isn't fully IP68 water and dust resistant like the Pro and the Pro Plus. It is merely IP53 splash resistant, so it'll be fine for using that in the rain and such forth. If you accidentally spill your pint on it, touch wood, it'll be alright, but definitely don't go dunking it in a swimming pool, taking it in the bath, anything like that. And I'm expecting the same setup here on the P40 as the P40 Pro as far as the SIM tray goes. So once again, a two-sided single tray, so you put your SIM card in one side, flip it around, and you've got your NM card slot on the other side. That's basically your Huawei proprietary memory card, which you'll need to buy separately if you want to expand the onboard storage. You do get 128 gigs of storage as standard on the Huawei P40, but as you can see there, you can buy another card which gives you another further 128 gigs, plenty of space for all your apps, media, and all of that shenanigans. And these cards are proper nippy, as you can see there. It's absolutely fine for storing your videos, your photos, all that kind of stuff on when using the camera. So I'm going to get the Huawei P40 all set up now, and then we can take a full-on tour of all of the hardware and the software. And boom, the Huawei P40 is all set up and good to go. And now you can really appreciate that 6.1 inch full HD display now that it's actually turned on. So yeah, the visuals are nice and crisp when you're kicking back with a bit of Amazon Prime Video, BBC iPlayer, whatever you fancy watching. And yes, there is a wide boy pinhole camera housing stuck away in the top left corner of the Huawei P40's display. So it does intrude a bit on that screen, but thankfully most of the video streaming services tend to cut off before that point anyway. So the notch thing doesn't actually intrude on the picture itself. Of course, as always, you can dive into the display settings and completely configure the Huawei P40's output exactly how you like. So you can play around with the color mode and temperature. As you can see, it's set to vivid by default, but you can produce more natural hues if you like. Got the dark mode on as well there by default, but you can switch it back to light if you like. Smart resolution as well, so as you can see there, you can dial between a low 720p resolution and high, just to help save the battery life when needed. Unfortunately, there's no 90Hz mode here on the standard Huawei P40. That is reserved for the Pro and the Pro Plus models alone. It's kind of a shame. I do miss that silky smoothness. Not really sure why it's not included on the P40, when lots of budget-friendly smartphones like the Realme 6, for instance, still have it. So still pretty strong visuals though, and as far as the audio is concerned, it's just a mono speaker output, unfortunately, because you don't actually get an earpiece speaker. It's once again in-screen vibration tech, which is used whenever you're on a phone call. So if we just load up one of my rather lovely videos, and then just boost up the sound.
We hear on TechSpert they cost under £100, yet still
still really deliver as far as audio performance, battery life. So not the loudest of speakers, and of course if you do accidentally muffle that mono speaker grill down there, then of course everything gets drowned out. And a lot more compromises having to make. But it'll be absolutely fine just for kicking back with a bit of YouTube or whatever on your couch. And as I mentioned before, there is no headphone jack here on the Huawei P40, so you'll be relying on Bluetooth or a good bit of Type-C USB headphones. As for the software, as you can see there, it's full EMUI version 10.1, the freshest, latest version of EMUI, as you'd kind of hope, on the fresh new flagship phone, sat on top of Android 10. And unfortunately, of course, that Huawei America spat is still ongoing, if you can call it a spat. It's slightly gone beyond that now. So that means, of course, no Google services, unfortunately, on the P40, just like the Mate 30 handsets before it. So no Google Play Store. You've got the likes of Huawei's app gallery if you want to download some new apps. And for anything that you can't find on there, you can use third-party app stores like the likes of the Amazon App Store, or of course just download APK files direct from developers. So of course, sadly, no support for the likes of Netflix, but the likes of Prime Video are on there. You've now got support for BBC iPlayer as well. So you can dive into some good shows and movies and stuff on there. And I've just used Huawei's phone clone app in order to get most of my other apps on board as well. So some Google apps, like for instance Maps and Gboard and Chrome, are supported, but the likes of Gmail and YouTube, sadly, no such luck. But anywho, I'll be giving you a full extensive tour of all of that EMUI software and the best features in a full tips and tricks guide, which is upcoming, so stay tuned for all of that shenanigans. Because back on the hardware tip, the Huawei P40 once again has an in-display fingerprint sensor, just like the P30 before it and the rest of the P40 family. Apparently it's a 30% larger sensor than before and 30% faster as well. Certainly seems nice and responsive, even though my fingers and thumbs are chapped to bits from all of this constant hand washing. And you've also got full facial recognition support here on the P40 as well. It doesn't have an infrared sensor like the Pro models do, unfortunately, so it won't be particularly great in low light unless you get that screen bright flash feature on the go, which basically just illuminates the screen to light up your mug. But certainly so far, in a nice day-lit room, it seems to be doing the job nicely. So a bit raised to wake and boom, straight into your desktops, no hanging about whatsoever. So again, a super nippy alternative. The good news is there's no corners cut for the P40 as far as the performance goes. You've once again got that brilliant Kirin 990 chipset stuffed on board here, so nice and nippy. Apps just load up instantly. Got 8 gigs of RAM in there, just like the Pro model, and of course there's full 5G support as well, because we've actually got a 5G modem built into that Kirin 990 platform. Now the battery size has been slightly reduced for the Huawei P40 compared with the Pro and the Pro Plus, because of course it is a more compact handset, but not too bad. It's a 3800 milliamp cell still, so I reckon you'll still get a full day's of use out of that, especially as EMUI is pretty energy efficient. Got the usual power saving modes on everything on there as well. Sadly, there's no 40-watt fast charging on here. It's 22.5 watts, so it'll take a little bit longer to power back up again via the old Type-C port, of course. And there's no wireless charging support on here either. That has been scrapped in order to trim the costs a little bit. So let's take a peek now at the camera tech. And here on the back of the Huawei P40, it is a triple lens setup. So what you have here is a fresh new 50 megapixel RYYB Ultra Vision primary lens. It's an f1.9 aperture and it's got built-in OIS. And that is backed by a 16 megapixel ultra wide angle lens and an 8 megapixel telephoto lens with a 3x optical zoom. And as you can see there, the camera chassis does jut somewhat from the surface of the Huawei P40, although not quite as extensive as it does on the P40 Pro. So let's take a bit of a tour of the Huawei P40's camera app with a bit of a help from our great mate Meerkat Batman. He's having a bit of an identity crisis, clearly. So open up that camera app, you're straight into the auto photo mode using that 50 megapixel primary lens. Although it doesn't shoot images at 50 megapixel by default, I believe it uses a good bit of pixel binning just to help brighten up the image and sort you out for HDR situations, something which should also be helped along by the new enlarged pixel sensor which Huawei has inserted into this bad boy. Now you've got some nippy face detection photo diode autofocus tech on there as well, so it should prove very nippy indeed, as you can see there, for focusing in on your subject. Seems to happen in the blink of an eye pretty much, very quick. Now as usual, you've got your AI mode up top which you can enable at any point. That just does a bit of scene recognition, can boost some colours for nice vibrant subjects, things like that. Otherwise, alternatively, you can switch on the move and pictures feature. And as you can see there, this just captures a snippet of video every time you shoot a photo, helps to bring your gallery to life, and you can also do some post-editing using that video snippet as well. But again, my plan is to cover all of that in the full tips and tricks guide, so stay tuned for more on that. You've got the usual photo modes on there, including, of course, a good bit of portrait mode in order to add a nice bokeh style effect to the background. You got your night mode, which basically takes lots of different shots at different exposure levels, stitches them together for a nice balanced shot. As you can see there, you can actually play around with the likes of the ISO level as well, so you can get a very precise kind of result. If you want even more control than that, just stick it into Pro mode. It's full manual controls. As you can see there, you can play around the ISO level, shutter speed, white balance, all kinds of shenanigans. You can shoot in RAW format, and you can also shoot in full 50 megapixel action as well. If you do want to shoot a high-res photo using the auto mode, you can just stick it in high res. That'll do the job for you nicely. And of course, as you can see there, you've got plenty of other bonus modes you can play around with too. And then if you stick it into video mode, well, the good news is that Huawei seems to be concentrating a bit more on the videography with the Huawei P40. So as you can see there, you can now shoot 4K resolution video at up to 60 frames per second. First time you've been able to do that with a Huawei smartphone. And whether you're shooting photos or videos, you'll be able to switch between the different modes with a bit of a tap of these little dots here. So as you can see, we've now got the 16 megapixel ultra wide angle lens in action, gives you a nice sweeping view of everything. Otherwise you can zoom in 3 times optical zoom using that telephoto lens, or up to 5 times hybrid zoom as well. And there is Makeup Batman in all of his fuzzy glory. And then if we swap around to that front facing camera as well, you've got a 32 megapixel main lens, which is in action there. So hopefully this should prove good for your everyday selfies, even in quite testing conditions. You once again got a variety of effects that you can choose between, so you can add a nice stage light effect. Oh my god, I look like I'm being sucked into oblivion, which quite frankly right now sounds rather good actually. Yeah, the less said about that, probably the better. And as you see there, you can actually use the likes of the night mode using that front facing camera as well to get a nice, again, long exposure shot and hopefully produce some quite stunning results. And it looks like using that front facing camera you can actually shoot video at 4K resolution at up to 60 FPS. Again, certainly that is the option that it is given me. So try recording a nice bit of vlog in action, hopefully coming through super crisp and clear. And yep, there you have it, 4K Ultra HD at 60 FPS using that front facing camera. Lovely stuff. So there you have it. That in a nutshell is the new Huawei P40 flagship phone, which is going to hopefully be available in just a couple of weeks time here in the UK. Haven't got official UK pricing at the time I shot this unboxing because I hadn't officially launched yet, so check out the video description. I'll hopefully be able to bung it in there once the official unveiling happens. So certainly if you're after a more compact flagship smartphone, or your stacks aren't quite fat enough for the Pro model, the Huawei P40 seems like it could be a very good compromise indeed. But what do you think? Definitely let us know down in the comments below. Please do plug subscribe, ding that notifications bell, and have yourselves a lovely week, people. Cheers!